Hello guys, welcome to the last 3D market commentary of the week. Today is obviously Friday. Just move that there a little bit. My name is Becky. My email address is there, becky@tradictive.com. It's on its side and I think my head is in the way, but hopefully it's easy to spell, becky@tradictive.com. Now there's also this link here, which is tradewithufos.com/Becky. I'm just going to show you that. This is, if you have questions, we would prefer it if you do it in this place. Of course, you can email me if you'd like. If you do it on this page, it's in public and other people can see the answer, so the whole community can learn from each other. So you just go to that link, which is tradewithufos.com/Becky. Set yourself up a free membership, just fill in the name and email address, follow through the steps. And then once you've done that and you've got your free membership, you can then ask a question here. I'm not signed in at the moment, that's why I can't do it, but once you're signed in, you would have permission to ask a question publicly. That then means that once you post a question, we can post the answers publicly and then you can see them down here. So you may have a question that somebody else has already asked, in which case the answer is already here, no need to email, no need to send anything. Or it might be that the question you have is new, you can ask it in a public setting and you're doing somebody else that favour by them being able to see the answer later down the line. So we'd rather you do that. Also, once you have your free membership, then you can get what I'm about to go through every day. The 3D market commentary comes out as an email and we'll send it every day, so you'll be able to have access to that. So about that. No viruses, that's great. Cool, so I'm just going to put the disclaimers there up on the screen. Obviously important for you guys to read them, not just for legal reasons, but to understand how these things work. If you don't have time to read them now, as it's being highlighted, then of course you can come back and read them later on the recording or something like that. Okay, so let's get started. Let's just bring up, I said that we go through an email every day, which is this email, and it corresponds to market data, which is of course here. I'm just going to change this to the market we want to be looking at as well. So every day we send out this email and it goes through the probabilities and statistics in 5 of the major markets in the world. Now, the 5 major markets in the world that we're looking at are obviously all correlated to each other and correlated to other things. You may not trade any of them directly, but especially the US dollar, when we go through that, correlates with other markets. So hopefully you find this useful in some capacity. We're looking at a daily chart of each of these markets. So of course, if you trade much smaller time frames or much bigger time frames, things are different. The daily chart's kind of in the middle, which is why we chose that one. So again, hopefully that helps you out regardless of whether you long-term trade or short-term trade. And again, the concepts would apply if you have these apps and you use this technology on other timeframes and other markets as well. So what we do on each market is a 3D approach. Now, why do we call it 3D approach? Because we go through 3 elements. So the first thing we go through is market climate. Market climate is looking at this app here, which is our auto climate app. Market climate essentially means, where do we have probabilities? To the upside, to the downside, or nowhere? i.e., should we be going long, short, or doing nothing? Should we be buying, selling, or doing nothing? So that answers the first question for us. Anything that we trade is, should we be looking to buy, sell, or walk away? That's what AutoClimate does for us. It's an app. It's a free app, by the way. Once you have your free Trade with UFOs membership, you can download the AutoClimate app. It's a free app, and it scans through the markets and comes back and says to us, we have probabilities to the upside, downside, or nowhere in the form of these little dots. So if we have a thick blue dot, that tells us probability to the upside, meaning look to go long. If we have a thick red dot, that means probability to the downside, look to go short. If we have a thin dot of either colour, that tells us probabilities in either direction, keep away, look at something else. So we're going to look at market climate for each market. We'll then look at unfilled orders, buy and sell UFOs. So UFO, in this case, I know they look like little flying saucers there, but actually stands for unfilled orders. Essentially, what moves price in the markets is if you have a lot more buy orders than sell orders, price goes up. If you have a lot more sell orders than buy orders, price goes down. What the AutoUFO app is doing is scanning through the market and showing us where big stacks of orders are. It shows us that in the form of highlighting it with those little flying saucers. It also shows us on the right hand side there in price. On TradeStation it will show you price in a different way, but it's still showing you price. It's going to show you, here you go, what the price range is, where those stacks of orders are, between what prices are people looking to buy or sell. Now that's helpful because if there's a big stack of buy orders, we want to be buying with that stack of buy orders because they're more likely to beat the sell orders and push price up. If we're selling, we want to sell with a big stack of sell orders because they're more likely to beat the buy orders and push price down. So it helps us to be really specific on our entries and exits. I'm just going to re-highlight this here. Helps us be really specific on exactly where we buy or sell. Climate figures out whether or not we buy or sell. The UFOs tell us where to do that. Then we have volatility. Volatility essentially tells us what the risk or reward is, because the more something moves, and that's what volatility is, it's how fast does it move. The more it moves, the higher the risk. But with the higher the risk, could come higher reward. So, of course, the lower it moves, the lower the risk, the lower the reward. So it's up to us to interpret that as we will, as individual traders. How do we feel about risk tolerance? That's up to us. But again, I'll let you know roughly what we can expect in terms of movement up or down on these markets. Okay, so let's get started. We'll start with the S&P. So the S&P 500 is a basket of the US top 500 stocks, and we're looking at futures contracts when we look through these markets. So in this case, we are looking at the ES that represents the US stock market. If you don't understand anything I just said, because you don't know what futures are, you never heard of the S&P before, don't worry. Essentially just understand we're looking at the US stock market. So with the US stock market, we have a confirmed upwards climate because we have a thick blue dot that tells us probability to the upside. Now usually this market would go up for 9 candles. I know that says 8.77. I'm rounding up. We can't have decimal places of a candle, so whatever the decimal place, we're going to round it up. Usually goes up for 9 candles, and we're on candle number 9. Meaning we've come to the end of what is likely to be a usual move to the upside, or what usually happens. Now, of course, we sometimes go past what is normal. We sometimes fall short of what is normal. This is not to say that's 100% definitely going to happen every time. It's an average. It gives us an idea of what is more likely to happen, not to say what is definitely going to happen. So just because we've come to the end of it doesn't mean we can't keep going. It just means we lack probabilities of it keeping on going. We prefer that number to be 1 or 2. As opposed to coming up to the end or at the end of what is a usual move. So yes, we have probabilities to the upside, not quite as many as we want to, but still overall probabilities up there for the S&P. Now, buy and sell UFOs. We have no sell orders above us, there's nothing here. But we do have buy orders. Buy orders that are there, the closest stack of buy orders just underneath us is 4076.00 to 4052.25. Now I've lost my mouse there it is. Is that one there? Again, that's the closest stack of buy orders as highlighted to us by the AutoUFO app, that's scanning through the charts and coming back and saying to us, between these 2 prices, that's we have a big stack of buy orders. That's the closest one that we have there. Now, with market volatility, we expect a movement up or down in one day of 43.76 points. In 1 week, it would be up or down of 96.33 points. In 1 month, it would be up or down of 200.52 points. So that's the movement that we expect. or down within these given periods of time. We use our AutoClimate and UFOs to help us figure out in which direction that's more likely to happen. In this case with the S&P, we don't have as many probabilities to the upside as we'd like, but overall probability there to the upside. Okay, let's move on to the next market, which will be oil. Now in the meantime, it says there, looking to educate yourself, we do a variety of courses, futures, forex, stocks. We will be having options at some point as well. We do have backtesting classes, trade plan classes, psychology classes. Check those out if you want to. The majority of them come with 3-month complimentary access to the apps. So AutoClimate, as we said, is a free app most of the time anyway, depending on which platforms you use, but most of the time it's free. And AutoUFOs are a paid for app, depending on which platform you use, depends on the price. But again, they come as a package in our courses. So that's one way to get the apps as well. Okay, so crude oil, market climate, current confirmed downwards climate. We see that because we have a thick red dot, so probability to the downside. Now, usually this market goes down for 8 candles, so again, rounding that up, and we're on candle number 4. Meaning based on what usually happens, we have probability for a continuous move down as well. So overall, more probabilities with oil to the downside than we have with the S&P to the upside because of the fact that we're not yet reached the end of what normally happens. Now, buy and sell UFOs. We have sell UFOs, these red UFOs just above us here. The top one is 66.40 to 63.60. Lost my mouse again now. There I am. Is this one here? 66.40 to 63.60. Closest stack of buy orders, this one here, which relates to that one there, 57.29 to 54.81. Now we can see this buy UFO has already worked. We have price came and hit the top of the buy UFO, hit the top price of that stack of orders and went up, came back, hit the top line and went up. That's what we expect buy orders to do, is push price upwards. That's why it's helpful to have an app that points it out for us and shows us where that's going to happen, or where it's likely to happen. Now with volatility with oil, we expect movement up or down in one day of 1.52 points. In 1 week, it would be up or down of 3.35 points. And in 1 month, it would be up or down of 6.98 points. Again, that's up or down expected movement based on actually options prices. But we don't know in which direction that's going to happen. That's just a rough up or down what could happen. We use our climate and UFOs to help us figure out where that's more likely to happen in the sort of near future. And in this case with oil, it would be overall there to the downside. Okay, so let's take a look at the next market, which is gold. Now in the meantime, see there it says about AutoUFOs. Again, AutoUFOs come as part of the courses. You can get them as part of the courses, or you can just download the app itself. You don't need to do it as part of the course if you don't want to. If you download the app itself, again, you can just go to our website, tradewithufos.com, or you can subscribe there. And depending on which platform you use, depends on the price of the UFOs. For TradingView, which is the one I'm using here, it's $34 per month, or you get yearly discounts or part as packages of other things. Okay, so gold. Market climate. We have an unconfirmed climate. We see that because it's a thin dot. It actually doesn't matter the color, doesn't matter that it's up. What matters is that it's thin. The fact that it's thin is the AutoClimate app's way of telling us not enough probabilities. Keep away. So you change your time frame, you change your market. There are millions of things to trade, literally. If you count time frames and the markets themselves as different variables, you've got so many other options. So there's no need to trade something where you don't have probabilities on your side. Now with buy and sell UFOs, we have buy UFO just below us here. In fact, price has already hit it and gone up, and now it's come back and hit it again. So again, we would expect it to push price up. The numbers for that are 1734.4 to 1721.6. Now we have a stack of sell orders. Closest stack is here. Again, my mouse. There we are. 1815.2 to 1782.2. That's the closest stack of sell orders. Now overall, we have an unconfirmed climate, but we have just hit a stack of buy orders. If those push price up, I wouldn't be surprised to see this confirm itself to the upside over the next few days. But we'll see. Overall, at the moment with gold, nothing really confirmed. Keep away from it. Look at something different. Now, in terms of volatility, we'd expect movement up or down in 1 day of 17.29 points. In 1 week, it would be up or down of 38.06 points. And in 1 month, it would be up or down of 79.23 points. Okay, So moving on to the next market, which is the US dollar. In the meantime, it says there about coaching and support. We do a lot of coaching. There you go. We do a lot of coaching on YouTube for free, which you can access, but you can also join our closed coaching where you get more of our time in a closed environment, and that's $21 per month, or again, part of packages and things like that. So looking at the US dollar is the most influential market in the world. It affects up to 80% of transactions every single day. So we should be aware of what the dollar's doing. Whether or not we trade it directly, we should be aware of what's going on with the dollar, because it will impact all of the other markets that we look at today and more. So with this, we have, it's actually an unconfirmed climate. So an unconfirmed climate because we have a thin red dot, which means, again, not enough probabilities either way. It may have been confirmed this morning, but it's become unconfirmed. So overall, unconfirmed climate there with the dollar, which means keep away from it. Look at something else on this time frame at least. Buy and sell UFOs, again, we're kind of in the middle of them. Not close enough really to either stack for them to have a real effect today. We have buy orders here at 91.405 to 90.635. And again, already worked. Price came in here, pushed it up, came in here, pushed it up. That's what we expect buy orders to do, is push them up. So we use an app to show us where those orders are so that we know when to get in. Stack of sell orders just here. That's 93.125 to 92.840. Okay. Now, market volatility, we'd expect on the dollar, movement up or down in one day of 0.38 points. In 1 week, it would be up or down of 0.83 points. And in 1 month, it would be up or down of 1.72 points. So again, with the dollar overall, unconfirmed climate, so we'd keep away from it, keep an eye over it, on it over the next couple of days, let's see what happens, but for the time being, keep away. Now, last but not least is the Bitcoin, backed Bitcoin. That's what we're looking at here. Now, of course, Bitcoin is not as old as the other markets that we're looking at, not as established, maybe should we say. That tends to mean that it's a little bit more volatile. Not a problem, but just be aware of it. When it comes to climate on Bitcoin, we have a confirmed upwards climate, thick blue dot, probability to the upside. Now, because it's newer, we don't know how long it normally moves to the upside or downside, because it's not been around long enough. We just don't have the data. So we can't say what usually happens because it's just not there. We don't have the information. To give a number would be to just make it up. So we're a little bit in the dark there, but the good thing is we are on number one. We're on candle number one of a move to the upside, which of course puts more probabilities on our side. Then with buy and sell UFOs, again, nothing above us. Same with the S&P, we had no sell orders, nothing there. But we do have buy orders just beneath us, which again are working. Price came in to the UFO and is moving out of the UFO, back upwards. Which is what we expect buy orders to do, is push them up. Numbers for that are 57,662.5 to 50,645 even. Now with volatility, like I said, tend to be more volatile than the other markets. Not a problem. With volatility usually comes more risk, but could also come more reward. Lower volatility, lower risk, lower reward. Normally that's the correlation. So just bear that in mind and use that to help you make your decisions as to what you trade. Now in a day, we'd expect movement up or down of 2,626.88 points or dollars. In a week, we would expect movement up or down of 5,782.82. And in 1 month, up or down of 12,037.89. So again, reasonably volatile, not necessarily a problem. Depends how you look at it. Which brings me on to having a look at okay, my mouse is being funny today. Having a look at the economic calendar. Now we look at the fxstreet.com/economic-calendar, and we filter here. My mouse is being very strange. Apologies for this. We filter here by high impact news. Now we do that not because we necessarily care what the news is. We're not going to interpret the news to make a trade. That's subjective. We're trying to use objective statistics and technology to help us with this. But with the news, we can understand, are there likely to be high impact news articles or high impact reports that could move, that could increase volatility? Now, if you love volatility, no problem, not a problem to you. If you're a little bit more risk averse, then that may make you decide not to trade that at all. It may make you decide to limit your risk percentage or place less trades. Or like I said, you may ignore it completely. It's It's up to you to interpret that. But we can use this calendar to have a look and see where we would have high volatility potentially coming from this high impact news, and on which markets. So today, for example, on the Canadian dollar or Canadian markets, it's already come out just before the market open. May have caused some volatility on the Canadian dollar. Sometimes it doesn't, but again, just to be aware of it. Now, if you have any questions and you want to schedule a self-clarification call or self-schedule a clarification call, you can do that by clicking there, speak to one of our experts and talk through, there's courses and apps and coaching and free memberships and free apps. And do I need to pay for that one? Maybe not. Do I need to have that app? If I need to get that app, how do I get it? Do I get it as a package? Or whatever confusions that you might have about these kind of things, what resources could help you, what you might need to do, you can self-schedule a clarification call, speak to one of our experts and figure it out with them. Otherwise, you've got my email address if you have questions, which is becky@tradictive.com, and there's also tradewithufos.com/Becky. Get yourself a free membership. That email that I just went through with all of that information on, you'll get that every day, and you'll be able to ask questions as well down here in a public space, so I can answer in a public space and other people again can learn from the answer. So that's me done. Hope you guys have a great weekend. This is the end to the trading week, so I hope it's a good end to the trading week for you. We'll be back on Monday morning. I hope you guys have a great weekend and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.